started with a kiss I wasn't supposed to give. One reckless moment under the blinding string lights of the winter festival, and my entire world tilted. I was 20, an Omega trying to keep a low profile at university in New England. Between exams, part-time jobs, and the suffocating expectations of my family back home in Chicago, romance wasn't supposed to be anywhere near my life. But fate has an infuriating way of laughing at plans. The Winter Festival was a tradition in town's snow-dusted streets lined with wooden booths, hot cider steaming in gloved hands, laughter echoing in the crisp night air. I had gone because my roommate dragged me, insisting I stop being a hermit and actually enjoy the season. I wasn't looking for anyone. I wasn't searching for trouble. And yet, somehow, trouble found me in the form of a tall stranger. I didn't see his face clearly at first, just the way his broad shoulders moved against the crowd, the way his presence drew the air tighter around me. I don't know if it was the heat of mulled wine in my stomach or the heady scent that curled from him, something deep, unmistakably alpha that made my pulse trip over itself. Then it happened. The crowd pushed us together. My scarf caught on something. I stumbled, and when I looked up, his lips were there, so close my body betrayed me. The kiss wasn't gentle. It was clumsy, desperate, charged like a storm splitting the sky. For one suspended heartbeat, I felt owned. When I pulled back, breathless, I saw him clearly for the first time. His eyes, God, those eyes burned like something forbidden. Older, sharper, undeniably dangerous. He looked at me like he'd known me his whole life and was furious about it. I bolted. For 2 days, I convinced myself it was just a drunken blur, some holiday madness, a stranger's lips in the cold, nothing more. I buried myself in assignments, lectures, anything to drown the phantom echo of that kiss, until Monday morning, when he walked into the lecture hall and introduced himself as Professor Jonathan Hale, the new faculty member leading our advanced literature seminar. My alpha, my professor. Holy shit, my friend muttered beside me, nudging my ribs as if she could feel the way my blood froze. He's hot. Hot. That was one way to put it. Terrifying was another. Jonathan Hale wasn't just handsome. He was the kind of man who demanded space without saying a word. His voice was low, measured, each syllable deliberate. He wore authority like it was sewn into his tailored coat. And when his gaze swept the room, landing on me for a fraction too long, I felt like I was back under those festival lights, lips burning. I tried to shrink into my seat, praying he didn't recognize me. But Omegas are cursed with hope. They always think hiding will save them. Today, Professor Hale began. We're going to dismantle the illusion that stories are safe. Literature is dangerous. It reveals, it exposes, and sometimes it destroys. He wasn't looking at the class. He was looking at me. My pulse thundered so loud I barely heard the rest of his lecture. By the time class ended, my palms were slick, my notebook blank. I was ready to escape when his voice stopped me cold. Mr. Carter, stay a moment. The room emptied. My heart climbed into my throat as the door clicked shut behind the last student. Professor Hale set his notes down carefully, then leaned back against the desk, arms crossed. You were at the festival, he said simply. Not a question. I swallowed hard. Two don't know what you mean. A humorless smile curved his mouth. You kissed me. The silence cracked between us like ice. I wanted to deny it, to laugh, to pretend. But alphas could smell lies, especially when they came from an Omega. And I got help. May could still taste him. I didn't know. My voice trembled. I didn't know who you were. His eyes softened for a fleeting second before steel shuttered them again. And now you do, which means this never happened. Do you understand? It should have been a relief. Clean cut, no consequences. But his scent lingered in the air, pulling at me, and I hated how my body betrayed me. Yes, Professor, I whispered. I thought that would be the end. That we'd return to polite distance, pretend the night never happened. But some stories refused to stay unwritten. The weeks that followed were torture. Every lecture was a battlefield, his voice low and steady. My attention snagged on every movement of his hands, every glance that burned too long. He was professional, almost cold, but something throbbed beneath the surface. A tension that neither of us could kill. Late nights in the library, I'd catch him walking past, his scent lingering like a dare. Group discussions turned into verbal duels, each word carrying double weight. Once, when I stayed after class with a question, our hands brushed over the same book, and the static that shot through me nearly sent me to my knees. I wasn't falling for him. I was already falling. And maybe, just maybe, he was falling too. Because one night, when the snow fell heavier than it had all season, I found him outside the faculty building, alone, smoking like a man who needed to burn something out of his chest. "You shouldn't be here," he said when he saw me. But he didn't walk away. "Neither should you," I countered. My voice was braver than I felt. For a long moment, he just stared at me, smoke curling between us, snow landing on his hair. Then his shoulders sagged, and the hardness in his eyes cracked. "You don't understand what you've done to me," he murmured. I did, because he'd done the same to me. The distance closed before I could think better of it. His mouth crushed mine, rougher this time, desperate, full of every forbidden thing we couldn't say in daylight. My hands fisted in his coat, his arms locked around me, and for the first time since that night at the festival, I felt whole. When we broke apart, breathless, his forehead pressed to mine, reality crashed back in. "We can't," he said, voice ragged. "I know," I whispered, but I didn't let go. The snow kept falling, silent witnesses to a story neither of us could stop. The more we tried to bury what was happening, the more it refused to die. Desire was an ache under my skin, a pulse that grew louder each time I saw him. Every lecture became unbearable, every glance across the room a secret we could no longer contain. It wasn't just attraction, Anna Maria, it was inevitability. One evening, I stayed late in the library, papers spread across the table. I told myself I was working, but my mind kept drifting. I heard footsteps and knew, even before I looked up, that it was him, Professor Hale. "Jonathan, you're still here," he said quietly. His voice carried something brittle, like he'd been fighting himself all day. I nodded, couldn't focus. His gaze locked with mine, and for a moment, neither of us moved. Then the dam broke. He crossed the space in 2 strides, his mouth on mine before I had time to breathe. This kiss wasn't clumsy like the first, nor desperate like the second. It was surrender. My body melted against his, and I knew, no matter how forbidden, no matter how dangerous, this was where I belonged. When he pulled back, his breath was harsh. "You're my student, and you're my alpha," I whispered, trembling. "We can't change that." The war in his eyes was almost too much to bear. But he didn't leave. He stayed. And that night, in the quiet corner of the library where no one would see us, he finally let himself hold me. But happiness in secret is fragile. Rumors began to circle weeks later. Whispers in the corridors, sidelong glances from classmates. Omegas attract attention, and I had been glowing lately, my scent shifting with a softness I couldn't hide. Alphas notice things, so do jealous peers. One afternoon, my friend cornered me. "Eli," she hissed, "are you seeing someone? Because people are talking. And if it's who I think it is." Panic clawed through me. "It's nothing, just rumors." But the rumors reached the wrong ears. The dean called Jonathan in for a meeting. I wasn't supposed to know, but I saw the way his jaw tightened the next morning, the storm in his eyes. He said nothing, but his silence was louder than words. When class ended, he pulled me aside. "We have to stop." The words gutted me. "Stop pretending we don't exist?" I asked bitterly. "Stop before we destroy each other." I wanted to scream, to tell him I didn't care about rules, reputations, consequences. But I saw the fear in his face, not for himself, but for me. He was trying to protect me the only way he knew how. So I let him walk away, and I shattered. Days turned into weeks of unbearable distance. He taught with a mask on, colder than ever, his gaze refusing to meet mine. I drowned in loneliness, trying to convince myself it had been better this way. But love is stubborn. It doesn't die just because it should. The breaking point came on the night of the faculty gala. Students weren't invited, but I had taken a part-time job with catering, desperate for money and distraction. I thought I could endure it, until I saw him across the room. Jonathan, dressed in black, looking like a man untouchable, surrounded by colleagues who would never know how human he truly was. Our eyes met, and something in me snapped. Later, in the quiet hallway outside the ballroom, I found him alone. "You can't keep doing this," I said, voice shaking. His mask cracked. "You think this is easy for me? You think I don't?" He stopped himself, fists clenching. "Don't what?" I demanded. "Don't want me? Don't feel this too?" Silence. And then he broke. "I love you," he said, raw and unguarded. The world tilted. Before I could speak, before I could even breathe, he pulled me into the shadows and kissed me like a man starved. Every wall he had built crumbled in that kiss, every denial undone. I clung to him, knowing it was reckless, knowing it could ruin us, but unable to care. Because for the first time, he wasn't my professor. He was just Jonathan, my alpha. The fallout came faster than we expected. Someone had seen us slip away. Someone had whispered to the wrong person. Within days, an investigation began. He faced suspension. I faced humiliation. But when they asked me, I refused to play the victim. I wasn't coerced, I told them firmly. I wasn't manipulated. I chose him. Gasps, whispers, disbelief. And Omega speaking with that kind of conviction was almost scandalous. But I didn't care. The truth was mine, and I would not let them twist it. Jonathan tried to resign before the hearing concluded, but the dean surprised us. "You've broken rules," the dean said gravely. "But what I see here is not corruption. It's love. And though I cannot condone how it began, I will not destroy 2 lives for it either. Professor Hale, you will take a leave of absence. Mr. Carter, you will continue your studies without prejudice." Relief crashed over me so hard I nearly wept. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't easy. But it was mercy. Jonathan left the university. For months, we survived on stolen weekends, long phone calls, the kind of distance that can either kill love or prove it. And against all odds, it proved us. By the time winter returned, he was free to build a new life, one where I could stand beside him without shame. The winter festival came again. Lights glowing over snow. Music filling the air. "Déjà vu," Jonathan murmured as we stood beneath the same string of lights where it all began. I laughed softly. "This time, don't let me run away." He cupped my face in his hands, eyes softer than I had ever seen them. "Never again." Our kiss was gentle this time, steady and sure. No accidents, no fear, just love, pure and unashamed, under the falling snow. And for the first time, I knew the story we had written together wasn't forbidden. It was simply ours. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.